Today we're going to work on creating our clay Mexican stars. We need to start with thinking about cleaning up. We're going to put our wet clay sculptures outside on the drying shelf. So we'll need a card to put under our sculpture so people know whose sculpture it is. We're going to write our name and our code on a white index card or whatever color card I give you, and that can go aside for right now, but later we're going to put our sculptures outside on a shelf with that card underneath. That way nobody gets your sculpture and you don't get confused about whose sculptures is whose. The next thing we're going to do is, with a clear space, Mr. McAllister will bring you some clay in the form of a flat slab. Now this slab is about as thick as an Oreo cookie. If it gets much thicker than that, it's just wasting clay, and if it's much thinner than an Oreo cookie, the clay will most likely break. So if you're working today on your table and you start pushing things down too thin, remember it's going to break if we're not careful. Also, the clay will stick to the table if you put a lot of water down, or if you put a lot of downward pressure on your clay without remembering to pick it up and hold it. This is a sculpture, it's three-dimensional, so we don't want it to mash down. I'll have provided some templates for you to trace to help you get your star or your sun, your Mexican sun project, in approximately the right size. However, you may decide you want to do it a different way, and that's okay. But I'm going to use the template here to help me get started. Now I can see my slab is a little too small. Let's see if I can make it work. I grab one of these pointy skewers to poke in to the clay and drag it through. Poke in, and then I hold it close to the clay and drag it through. If I held it way back here, it might break. So I'm going to hold it close. I could even bend it down and then drag it out. When I poke in and bend it down, it draws a straight line and it keeps me from breaking my skewer. I'm going to save the extra clay. We'll need that. Now here we have a star with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points. Once I get the base of my sun project formed, I'm holding it in my hand so that it doesn't stick on the table. But once I get it formed, I'll be ready to find a circle in the middle of my sun. And then we can decorate. Any extra clay you want to keep in a ball together. That way we'll have some extra clay to work with when we add our details. From here we'll need a paper towel and some water and a toothbrush. The water and toothbrush are going to help us do our scratching attachments. But if you get just a little water on your finger, you can smooth out all of those cracks. We could call those elephant skin. Anywhere the sculpture is cracking, like here, that doesn't look so nice. So I can smooth that right away by rubbing with my wet finger. And we'll have to just keep on monitoring our sculpture for cracks as we go. If the clay is too wet it will become sticky, and that will not be a great thing. I can also use my cup to help me find a circle inside of my sun sculpture. I'm just gently pressing. So I've indented my circle using the bottom of my little water cup here to find just a nice round area to create the design for the face of my Mexican sun. I'm also going to need a paper towel that I can bunch up. It's going to make this sculpture a little rounder because we're working with form and that's not flat. And this tile so far has been mostly flat, so I want to put that bunch of paper towel under the circle on my Mexican sun sculpture. And now it's starting to stand up a little bit. That's going to make a more interesting tile design. Once I have that, it's decorating time. So I could do some twists and turns on my points to my star, or maybe have them curling up. I can also draw a little with my sharp end of the wooden stick tool. We have some plastic and wooden clay tools that are designed to help us smooth our work. As we've looked at some examples, Mexican suns have little happy faces on them, so you can use your remaining clay to create little coils. And a coil is when you roll out a little snake. Oops, got too much water and it got sticky. I could create a little mouth on my sun. I'll just pinch off what I don't need. Oh, wait. I can't just set it down. I need to use my toothbrush. Once I've seen where I want it to go, I get a wet toothbrush and I scratch and attach. That wet, watery clay is going to work like glue. It's going to hold my pieces of clay together. Otherwise, it might fall off. And I do not want my sculpture to fall apart. And now I've got another sphere. So I've got balls of clay, I've got a slab of clay, and I have a coil. Those are the only things that you can make with clay. Balls, slabs, and coils. And once those are the basic forms, you can create just about anything else. I think my sun sculpture is just about complete. So for cleanup, I'm going to make sure and put all my extra clay together. That way some other student can use it. I'm going to first put my sculpture out on the shelf with my name and code underneath it. After I've taken care of my artwork, I will clean the tools and put them away. And I will get a scraper to scrape all of this dust and put it in the garbage. I will then wipe my table with a wet rag. And if I'm sitting in my chair, Mr. McAllister might bring me a wet wipe for my hands and my table.